Alright, I don't have a tripod for this one because we're in the middle of a move and I can't find it. But hey dudes and dudettes, welcome to another video. Today we're doing another Simon Hurley Create Monthly Challenge video. This time I'm sharing some cards using one layer card techniques. So masking techniques, which if you've been on this channel for a while, you know I might not love masking. But in today's video, I share 3 easy ways to do masking on your card to get that one layer look. Now, if you want to participate in this monthly challenge using Simon Hurley Create products, be sure to tag us on Instagram using the hashtag #SHCreatedToCreate so we can see your work and you'll be entered to win a prize as well. Alright guys, without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so for this first card, I'm using the Brilliant Baubles stamp set, and I'm going to overlap some of these ornaments. So this is a little bit of a quicker method that I use if little areas of images are overlapping and I don't want to cut out the whole image with a mask. So I'm going to go in here with my anti-static powder bag before I do some embossing, and I added a little clip onto that. I'll link up in the top right corner my card hacks video where I shared that. I'll add one of the little ornaments on here, and then I'm going to stamp it down using some embossing ink. So here I'm just starting off by heat embossing these in Princess Gold. I like to do these in a metallic embossing powder. I think it gives it a cool look with the ornaments. So then I'll heat set that one, and I'm going to overlap an ornament on top of it. So since I stamped that circular one first, that one's going to be in the front, and then I'm going to stamp this one next, and you'll see that little part where it overlaps there. So here I'm going to bring out a little bit of purple tape or whatever masking tape you have on hand and just rip off little pieces so that I can just go along the edge of that and mask it out. Now I used a couple little pieces that I ripped apart, but it's super easy to just follow the line and tape off whatever little section you need. Like I said, this is great for little sections that overlap instead of cutting out that whole circular mask. All I had to do was tape it off. Then I'm going to go in with some more embossing ink and stamp this one down. I'll add my embossing powder down, and some embossing powder stuck to the tape, so then I'll peel that off right now before I heat set it, and that makes it so that that circular ornament was masked off and it looks like the other one is sitting behind it. So that's a good way, instead of having to cut everything out, just use a little piece of tape where anything is going to overlap, and that's going to really easy mask it off. And then to finish this off, I'm using one of the strings, and I dropped it there, and then I'm going to stamp that down and heat emboss that with some gold embossing powder as well. Then on my craft sheet, I'll make a palette using my Simon Hurley Create inks by just smooshing them onto the surface. Here I went in with a little bit of Game Over, Fake Plant, Midnight Snack, Clear Skies, and Triple Berry, and I'll have them all linked down below as well as all the supplies. And all I'm going to do is go in here with a little bit of water and a brush and watercolor these in on my stark white cardstock. I love how these turned out. I think they look so elegant when they're watercolored in like this, and that gold embossing provides for a nice area to kind of hold the water in and not let it go outside of the lines. So that's a good tip. Use some embossing if you're new to coloring and you want to make sure that it stays inside the lines. It'll create a little well for you to stay inside of. So here I just went in and watercolored them in using some reds, greens, and blues. And for this one, I added lots of water to the color. To get it to blend a little bit more, I started off with some Midnight Snack, went into some Clear Skies, and then brought in some Triple Berry. And using a little bit more water is a really great way to get them to blend together really beautifully with that color. And then to finish it off, I actually added a little bit of Woof, which is my gray color named after my dog, to the top of the ornaments. And then I really went in with tons and tons of water and brought in the Clear Skies and Triple Berry at the top and bottom edges of this. And that just creates a really nice kind of subtle background. It's really cool that you can go in with tons of water to really bring in a totally different lighter color and get lots of versatility with each ink pad. So once I'm done with that, I then decided to go in with the Sweater Weather stencil once that was all dry and go in and like add a little bit of like the pattern on top of it with this watercolor. You can totally skip this step if you want. It added a little bit of a texture to it. I'm not sure how big of a fan I am of it. Maybe I should have just left it before. Let me know what you guys think down below, but I think it added a little bit of cool texture for sure. So once I'm done with that, then I will finish it off with a sentiment. And I went in with a sentiment that says, I love hanging with you. I hand wrote this one and I absolutely love it. I think it just adds a fun twist to a Christmas card, and you can really send it kind of any time around the holidays or of course around Christmas in July. Then I was stupid and I cut this out and added it onto my card. So technically it's not really one layer, but it technically is at the same time. But of course, if you just kept it as the one layer, it would definitely be a one layer card. And I love how this turned out. Just some simple watercolor and some easy masking with tape makes a really elegant card. Now for this next one, I'm using the Snazzy Snowmen stamp set. I love this one, just the fun and playful hand-drawn snowmen in the style. So I'm going to go in and stamp down this snowman here using some jet black archival ink onto my card base. And here I'm using directly onto a card base, so I won't make the stupid mistake of cutting it out and adding it onto another card. Then I'm going to grab the light stamp, which you can actually hang on these snowmen's arms. So it makes it look like they're holding them, which I think is so adorable. Then I'm going to grab a sentiment here, and I'm going to kind of curve the sentiment. That's the really awesome part about using clear photopolymer stamps, is you can curve them and kind of manipulate them to the image. And this one just says sending warm hugs, which I think is so much fun. Now for this coloring, I went in with some Prismacolor colored pencils and colored these images in really quickly. Now for snowman, it's really easy to do because all you have to do is add a little bit of gray wherever kind of anything meets or wherever you want to add a little bit of a shadow. And that gives it a little bit of dimension, but I just blend that right into the white. So you really don't have to add tons of color to this. Especially if you're new at watercoloring too and you want to use my inks, you can really water down the gray color to get a really nice little bit of shading in there. Then I colored in the Christmas lights, gave him a little bit of blush on his cheeks, and he was ready to go. Now for the next area of masking, I want to create a background. So I went in with the sweater weather stencil, and I went in and started blending my inks down. Now for this first layer, I just went in with my Clear Skies ink, and I'm just going to blend it around the image. Now if you're familiar with my YouTube channel before, I do this quite a bit. When I want to create a background and I don't want to do any masking, I just go kind of close to the image, leaving a little bit of space there and kind of blending it out into that white. And less is more when you're going around the image and kind of helping tilt your blending tool get into some of those detailed areas. But it leaves a nice white halo around the image, which actually looks great once it's finished. Now the cool part about this sweater weather stencil is you can actually shift it a little bit to get this kind of cool kaleidoscope design once it's all finished, and it looks really cool like snowflakes. So I'm going in with Midnight Snack, and with this darker color I went even further from the image to make sure that we still maintained that nice halo around the image. But this is a huge time saver, because instead of having to go in and cut out that whole snowman with masking paper, just kind of avoiding the image and not going too close to it gives you a really nice effect when creating a background. So I shifted that stencil upward a little bit to finish off the design, and I absolutely love how this turned out. You can see when I lift it up, it has a nice halo that's maintained around the image by just staying away from it, and that actually makes the focal point image stand out on top of the card. So I actually like that instead of doing a mask, because it makes it stand out more instead of going right up to the edge. It really makes that image pop. Now for this last card, I want to share a more waterproof way of masking things off in case if you're doing kind of a watercolor background. So here I'm using the Posh Poinsettias stamp set. I'm going to use that poinsettia down in the corner. And I'm going to line up this image in my MISTI stamping tool onto my card base exactly where I want it to be, and stamp that down using some jet black archival ink, because we're going to do some watercolor techniques and we don't want that ink to shift. So to do this, I'm then taking the solid image and going in with some Simon Hurley Create inks in Slippery When Wet, Bee Sting, and just kind of rolling it around the edge to get some shading. So I started off with that lighter yellow color, then I went in with Bee Sting, which is that nice red, and then I'll finish it off with Game Over, which is a darker maroon color. And I find to do some shading, I just kind of roll the ink onto the edge to get some blending and no harsh lines. Then once I'm done with that, I'm going to go in with my mister and just spray that down so that it turns into a nice watercolor. And then when I stamp it down, you get a really cool kind of watercolor and easily colored effect. That took like less than 30 seconds to do. And then I'm going to go in with the leaves and do the exact same thing with Later Gator and Fake Plant. And then I'll spray that down and stamp it down as well. I just love these solid images along with the lined images, so you get really quickly colored in stamps. Now I'm going to go in with Masking Magic, and I really love this product, like I said, for these times where you want kind of a more waterproof seal, or you want to use masking paper right up to the edge. This is the best masking paper that I've found. So I'm going to stamp this down with that same image there using some jet black archival ink, and I found this has kind of a coating on the top of it, so I like to heat it to make sure that it's nice and dry before I go in and touch it and cut it out so I don't get any fingerprints all over. So once I fussy cut that right out around the edge, you can peel off that backing sheet really easily, and then I'm going to lay it right over top of that poinsettia stamp. And when I do this, I'm going to give good pressure all around. It's pretty low tack, so I know it's not going to rip my cardstock, but I want to make sure it has a really nice seal before I go in with any watercolor products. Then I'm going to go in with the Nuvo Shimmer powders, and I'll link up a video in the top right corner using these where I shared tons of techniques. But here I just wanted to create kind of a sporadic background with blue and purple powders. And I just love kind of the cool, unexpected watercolor effect you get with these and the shimmer and shine. So then I'll go in to spray those down and make them burst with color, which I think is so cool once it's all complete. And then I'm going to go in with my heat tool, make sure everything is nice and dry, or you could leave it to just dry by itself, but I'm a little bit impatient. And then once that's all complete, I can go in and peel off that mask. And you can see we did use quite a bit of water there, and it held up really nicely and didn't seep underneath the mask. So of course you could use an adequate amount of water, and I don't think it's going to leak underneath, which I think is awesome. So I love this product for more watercolor techniques like this, and it creates a really great way to go right up to the edge of an image without having to leave a halo around it. Well, that was tons of fun. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video and those 3 techniques that I shared. Be sure to leave a comment down below letting me know which card was your favorite, and I always love chatting with you guys down there in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a big thumbs up. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you get notified every time I post another video on this channel. Alright guys, I'll see you very, very soon for another card making and crafting video. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye!